What's going on, Cougar fans? Peter Borkowski here in Geisman Gymnasium on the beautiful campus of Concordia University, Chicago, as we get set for some women's volleyball action between your Concordia University Chicago Cougars and the visiting Warriors of Wisconsin Lutheran College. Troy Prattley on my side here, and Troy, it's been over a week since we last saw this Cougars team, but it was a memorable one at that. Cougars 4-3 on the year, and a big reason for that was that last game. They welcomed Lake Forest College here last Tuesday, and it was a thrilling 5-set win for the Cougars. Couple extra volleyball sets and a couple of special performances as well. Let's talk about Grace Haywood to start. Double in kills and digs, and as always, she was a big driving force behind that offense.
No doubt. You know, Grace comes in leader in the conference in a lot of different statistical categories, so one of those players, a veteran player, the Cougars are looking to get going here tonight to be successful.
And another player who had a really good game in that Lake Forest game was Isabel Vernango. She too had a double-double. That one was in assists and digs as well, and her and Haywood are one of the best 1-2 punches in the NAC right now.
Absolutely. Vernango racked up 44 assists in that 5-set match there last week. So again, another player between Haywood and Vernango, the Cougars looking to be good tonight.
Right, and Acacia Brown, the other player who had a really good performance against the Foresters of Lake Forest College. She didn't have a double-double, but she did have 8 total blocks on the day. So a defensive clinic coming from Acacia Brown in her first home contest at CUC. But let's talk about the opposition now. The WLC Warriors started the year 1-1, and since then they've now dropped 5 straight games, going back to their last game this past Saturday against the University of Wisconsin Stout.
You got it. Yeah, they fell 0-3 in that game against UW Stout. But it wasn't all bad. Kayla Wigley for the Warriors, 12 kills, 2 blocks, and an ace as well. And she comes in as well as top statistical categories, and we'll get that a little bit later on in the broadcast.
Yeah, she leads the team in both kills and points with 58 and 70.5 respectively. Little history lesson here. Cougars are 8-12 on time against the Warriors, but the Cougars did win their last matchup last season at WLC. Cougars took that one 3-1. Well, we're about ready to send it down to courtside, but Troy, really quickly, let's get your key to the game. What do the Cougars have to do here to get a first conference win?
Main thing right off the bat, the Warriors come in second in the conference in service, aces per match. So we're really looking for the Cougars to be set up defensively, get the ball to their setter, the all-conference setter, Isabella Vernango, and the Cougars will be off to a hot start today.
Definitely. Well, if you couldn't tell, it is getting loud here in Geisman already. It's Hawaiian night and Geisman Gymnasium as well, so I'm sure the stands are going to be packed with tons of CUC fans wanting to support a very exciting women's volleyball team as they get set to take on the Warriors of Wisconsin Lutheran College. We're going to send it down courtside for national anthem and starting lineups, but first, a message from President Don of CUC.
Hello, I'm Dr. Russell Don, President of Concordia University Chicago. Thank you for tuning in to today's Cougar Athletics broadcast. We take great pride in the strength of both our athletic and academic programs, which are rooted in our steadfast commitment to Jesus Christ. Dedicated to the liberal arts as a foundation of a high-quality college degree, we believe education should form individuals for service to their neighbors. This makes Concordia Chicago an exciting and fulfilling place to study, work, learn, and grow. Learn more today by visiting cuchicago.edu. Thank you, and go Cougars!
Well, we got our starting lineups for the night, so let's run it back one more time for everyone watching at home. First, for the visiting Wisconsin Lutheran College Warriors, it's number 6 outside hitter freshman Maya Kapelko. At middle hitter, number 8, Bailey Halliburton. At outside hitter, number 10, Kayla Wigley. At setter, number 18, Cara Valerio. At opposite side hitter, number 21, Lily Schutz, and middle hitter, number 26, Margie Stevens. The libero for the Warriors is number 24, Kylie Nabasic. Now the starting lineup for your Concordia University Chicago Cougars. It's number 1, outside hitter, Acacia Brown. Number 5, outside hitter, Kate Foley. Number 7, the setter, Isabel Vernango. Number 10, middle blocker, Lily Hunt. Number 12, outside hitter, Grace Haywood. And number 14, middle blocker, Michaela Levoy. The libero for the Cougars is number 8, Shira Marin. Cougars starting going right to left on your screen, wearing their home whites with maroon lettering, while Shira Marin, the libero, in her maroon jersey with gold lettering. Meanwhile, WLC in their gray jerseys with green stripes. They'll be going left to right on your screen, while their libero, Nabasic, is wearing her all-black jersey with green striping and white lettering. And to get us started here tonight in Geisman will be number 18, Cara Valero, with the first serve of the night. It is over the net. Grace Haywood pops it up. So does Shira Marin. Here comes Lily Hunt. Whistle blows. Point Cougars violation called on WLC, and we are underway here at CUC. Cougars up 1-0 early. To serve for the first time for the Cougars, it is Grace Haywood. Her serve is over. Nabasic to Valerio. Here's the first attack from WLC. Cougars able to stop it. They're on the offense now. Lily Hunt sends it over. WLC, good response there. Hunt some defense to keep the Cougars going. Here's Kate Foley, and it's down. Cougars up 2-0 now.
Cougars doing a good job of settling in and controlling the early attack by the Warriors as they take a 2-0 lead here to start match number 1.
Haywood back to serve one more time, at least, hopefully a couple more times if she has anything to say about it. Her serve is way over the line, and that'll be WLC's first point of the match. They now trail just 2-1, as going back to serve is Kayla Wigley, the Warrior we highlighted in the pregame show, coming off a good game at UW Stout. 12 kills, 2 blocks, and 1 ace. Looking to continue her hot play here tonight. As Kate Foley goes for the attack. This one gets sent into the WLC bench for a point. Cougars up by 2 again, 3-1 now.
And the Cougars last time out against Lake Forest, the team racked up 30 errors in that 5-set match. So that's something we could look to the Cougars to control here early, but there is one to start.
And there's a service ace from Shira Marin, the exact opposite of an error. 1 hit, 1 kill for Marin, and the Cougars up 4-1 now. But as Troy said, that Lake Forest game pretty sloppy at points for both squads. CUC able to come out on top despite the errors. And Shira Marin, she makes it 2 in a row now. WLC looking lost on their side of the court. They didn't even attempt to play the ball. And Marin's second straight service ace puts her team up 5-1. Marin now trying to make it 3 in a row. Doesn't look like she will, as WLC sends it over for a point that bounced off Haywood's hands and over the CUC bench. WLC back within 3 now.
Service aces, no shock to the Cougars here. They do lead the conference, the NAC conference, first in the conference in service aces per set with 2.67, so already have 2 here in the first set.
Well, WLC's serve played by Haywood. Now Vernango sets up Foley, a little floater. Right there to stop it is Margie Stevens, and that's going to be an error on WLC. Maya Kapalko didn't really look like she knew where she was sending it. Because of it, CUC back up by 4.
Got a little sideways there, and Can get her back all the way to the net and allowed that ball to head right into the net.
Lily Hunt's serve hits the top of the net, doesn't make it over. Service error on number 10 in white, as WLC bringing a couple players in substitution-wise. They trail by 3 early goings of set number 1. Going back to serve is one of those players who just checked in, Emma Incaprero. And she's going to respond with a service error of her own. Troy, at this rate, we might not see much settled volleyball tonight between all the service aces and errors we're getting.
A little sloppy here to start the game, but both teams will settle in here. Still got tons of volleyball left to play tonight.
Kate Foley now, she'll take her shot. This one is a good serve. WLC has to play it. It goes back to Foley. She goes down to the ground to get it. Now attack from Haywood. WLC able to slow it down. They'll send their own attempt over. Shire Marin down to get the dig. Here goes Haywood again. One-handed dig there from the Bosick. Good defense from the WLC libero as the Cougars. Kasia Brown hits some blockers' hands. The Bosick is right there. This one right into the net off the hands of Grace Fry. And that error puts the Cougars up by 5 now. Very different than what we saw a week ago against Lake Forest. A back and forth affair. You know, never one team didn't really pull out aside of 3-point lead or anything like that. Now the Cougars have come out firing here in set number 1, and they lead by 4.
Yeah, that last rally there, you saw some really good defense by both teams' liberos there. So if you're coaches for either team, that's something you're really happy to see early on. Liberos engaged and making plays early.
Another service error, this one to WLC. That makes it 9-4 in favor of CUC. Those head coaches for Concordia, it is Andrew Palmer, his first season as head coach of CUC. He's got his team off to a 3-2 start. He's assisted by Michaela Fincher. Meanwhile, in her 7th season is Jenny Voss of WLC, a very successful coach, 6 straight winning seasons. She's assisted by Katie Winkler, Sammy Riley, and Alyssa Caron. As we have a good rally here so far. This one tipped over the net. WLC able to play it. Lily Hunt now. This one a 50-50 ball. WLC goes up and wins it. Kayla Wigley says this one's mine. Jams it down for the WLC point. They're back within 4.
Yeah, not a ton you could do there. That ball kind of hanging right over the net. You got Vernango and Wigley going up, and Wigley wins that battle.
Foley now. And there's a little sneak attack by Vernango. It pays off, catches the WLC defense off guard.
Now that's a battle Vernango can win, right there.
Yeah, Vernango loves that little, looks like she's going to set it. Instead, she just sends it over the net real quick. And this one pays off in her favor. She gets a point out of it, gets a kill, and her team's up by 5 now. Doubling up on WLC 10-5 as there's going to be another service ace. WLC having trouble receiving these serves. The Cougars, that'll be service ace number 3 on the night for them. Meanwhile, service errors, we already have 5 total. So we got 8 points of the 16 being settled on the serve. This one, however, is not. It's out of play off WLC. Cougars expand their lead 12-5. Grace, excuse me, that'll be a timeout. In fact, WLC wanting to get it together. They're already down to CUC 12-5. So while they take a minute to figure things out, we're going to take a break up here in the booth as well. CUC on top of WLC 12-5. Back here in Geisman Gymnasium on the campus of Concordia University, Chicago. The Cougars break up their huddle first. They're up 12-5 on the Warriors, who are still talking things over. But Troy, before the Warriors come back out, we resume play. What's your main takeaway so far? Cougars very much in control of this first set.
We've really only seen that one rally there go back and forth. It's been a pretty quick serve to kill ratio. Lots of errors, some sloppy play so far. So if you're the Warriors trying to get back into this game, you want to put some pressure on the Cougars. Get the ball on their part of the court and make them work for the points. You know what I'm saying? We've seen a lot of balls hit out of bounds here, and the Cougars aren't working for those points.
Well, no one left to work for that point. Isabel Vernango hits it into the net on the serve. That'll be another service error. Make that number 6 on the day, total number 4 for CUC. And now WLC back within 6, 12-6. Going back to serve is Cara Valerio. 50-50 ball. Michaela Levoy is right there. She prevents the dunk from hitting the ground. WLC back on the attack. Does that one hit in? It does not. Out of play. CUC point. Up 13-6 now as Grace Haywood heads back to serve.
That was one of those, you see the ball go down, the whole bench is holding their breath waiting for the call to be made.
High arcing serve from Haywood. Nothing WLC can't handle. Isabel Vernango now. She pops it up to Lily Hunt. Slams it down right into the blocker's hands and down. CUC up by 8 now as Haywood will go back to serve. Generally, Voss already using one of her timeouts. She might have to use that next one quick here. This game is getting out of hand. And her team hasn't even scored 7 points yet. And here's an attack blocked up front. Levoy and Hunt sent it back. Now here's Vernango for Levoy. She just gets a piece of it, but it's enough. Michaela Levoy looks like she just got some fingertips, but it was enough to send it over the blocker's hands and down. CUC up by 9. Grace Haywood to serve once again. Been a long serving streak for Haywood. As this one is a good one. Going down for it is Wigley. Now she goes on the attack, and that one stays inside the lines. WLC gets the point back right as I mentioned Haywood's serving streak. It ends. So good to see the Jinx is alive and well up here as Wigley goes back to start her own serving streak, hopefully.
Capelco returns for the Warriors.
And that one is out. Another service error as this one had a little too much sauce on it. And it's a 10-point game now in favor of CUC, who's now just 8 points away from taking set 1 in convincing fashion. WLC really hasn't gotten anything going here. They get something there. Nice kill will bring them back within 8. As they get a sub in, leaving is Bailey Halliburton. Serve here from the Bassick. Vernango sets up Brown. It was a weird set, but Brown makes the most of it, kind of pushes it over. WLC just having a tough time on defense to start out here.
Looked like that ball Vernango put pretty close to the net. Brown was further back towards the 10-foot line, not expecting that ball there. So just able to get what she could get on it. Results in a point for the Cougars.
Nice dig there by Haywood, but it's into the CUC bench for a WLC point. WLC trailing by 8 now. Loud crowd here in Geisman already, as we are in set 1, early goings of tonight's matchup. First conference matchup for either team. WLC did play Benedictine on Saturday before they played UW Stout. They lost that Benedictine game 3-2, but it was a non-conference meeting. So Kate Foley heads to the service line now. 18-9, her team leads. Here's an attack blocked up front by Brown and Vernango, and that'll be enough. Cougars get a point out of it. Acacia Brown, she was the one who racked up 8 total blocks over a week ago against Lake Forest, the last matchup we saw this Cougars team play in. She seems to be right back at it. And there's a strong attack. Whistle blown, though. And it'll be a point on CUC. 2-touch rule called on the Cougars. So Cougars violation allows WLC to reach double digits for the first time tonight. 19-10 the score. Serving is Courtney Andrus. As Brown sends attack over off a Haywood setup. Here's Wigley. Marin, this one pops up near the lights. WLC has to handle it now. Wigley, another attempt. That one gets past a diving Lily Hunt for a WLC point. They have back-to-back points now.
It's a really good job by Kate Foley there on that one from Vernango back. She was leaning back, but able to get a good swing on it to prevent a free ball from heading over the net.
CUC breaks the mini WLC streak with one of their own. Should mention those 2 points WLC just scored in a row. That was the first time they've had a multi-point streak all set. So the CUC defense is dominant in terms of keeping the Warriors off balance, not being able to get any kind of consistent offense going as Katie Hadel sends over her serve. Blocked up front. Kate Foley's there to clean up the mess. Now here comes Grace Haywood. Big block there. The main perpetrator was number 22, Grace Fry. Also in the vicinity was Margie Stevens. Fry at 5'8", Stevens at 6'1". That is a tall wall of blockers to get around, and CUC couldn't find the magic there. But they're back on attack now. Kate Foley, back row attack, hits the net. For WLC, another point here, starting to get some more consistent offense going. And Stevens will serve once again. 20-13 your score. CUC on top. Isabel Vernango now sets up Haywood, a little floater, and getting under it in time was Emily Incaprero, but couldn't do much with it after it bounced off her hand, and it's 21-13.
Again, another heads-up play by the veteran. Got the last one blocked, knows the Warriors are coming for the block. The scouting report would say, you know, Haywood's the best hitter for the Cougars going up for another block, and Haywood uses that to her advantage.
Wigley sends that one in the net, but yeah, when speaking to coaches previously on Grace Haywood, they always talk about not only is she a very strong hitter, she's a very smart hitter there. We saw it there, obviously blasting the ball through the blocker's hands. Didn't work the first time, so instead she says, I'm just going to arch it over their hands this time, and it pays off in her favor. But that'll be WLC's second timeout of this set, so they're going to talk things over. They have a big deficit to climb out of. 22-13 is your score here in Geisman. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will possibly see the conclusion of set one. Cougars just 3 points away from it.
Hey Cougar fans, thanks for tuning into today's game. For more information about the women's volleyball program, head to cucougars.com. We hope to see you at our next game.
Ten seconds left on the WLC timeout, their second and final of set number one. But Troy, at this rate, set number one is not going to last much longer. CUC on top of the Warriors, 22-13, just 3 points away from that magic number of 25. And to start to get them there, it'll be Isabel Vernango to serve.
Yeah, it would be tough for the Warriors to climb back into this one and win set one, but you'd like, if you're the Warriors or Warriors fans out there, you'd like to see them, get a couple points here late and carry that over into set number 2.
Yeah, just get some momentum, show that you can hang with these Cougars, which has not been the case here. A strong attack from Wigley. The dig from Foley ends up in the opposite side stands.
And Wigley has been the bright spot of the Warriors offense. We talked about her pregame because of her success last time out against UW Stout, and already 4 kills in this first set for the Warriors.
Well, Grace Haywood, too much on that rocket. It goes out the back end.
For a little perspective, Kayla Wigley's hitting percentage here in this first set is .429. No other Warrior has a positive number in the hitting percentage.
Yeah, Wigley carrying that bulk of offensive load as Lily Hunt, her attack is digged up by Cara Valerio. Now here's Marin. She sets up Vernango, who's going to try to set up Haywood, and she does. Haywood finishes off the blocker's hands. CUC point, and they're just 2 away now from claiming set 1 as Haywood heads back to the line. Seen a lot of serving out of Haywood already tonight, as she's still looking for her service ace. Vernango has 1 and Marin has 2, as here's a WLC point. Makes it 23-16. WLC trying to make the score respectable before the end of set 1. Kayla Wigley waits to go ahead to serve. She gets it, gives the ball a few bounces. Now she sends it over. Marin right there for Vernango. Here comes Foley. Going down is Nabasic, and that is blocked, but the Cougars aren't able to clean up the rebound. Touches the ground. Point number 17 for WLC, and so I guess don't say it's over till it's over. WLC only down by 6 now for a game they've trailed by nearly double digits the whole time, as they're now down by just 5.
Yeah, you could see a timeout here by the Cougars possibly to settle them down. It seemed like after that second timeout by the Warriors, they came out with a little bit of spark. The Cougars have come out flat since that second timeout.
Wigley trying to keep her team in this first set, and she's going to help, as that's a service ace there. Cougars can't get it back over the net. It's 23-19. Warriors, they're not going to go down without a fight. Just when everyone, including us, said this set was all but over, WLC says not so fast. 23-19. Marin. Here comes Vernango. She sets up Foley, and she'll get the Cougars. Excuse me, wait. WLC's right back in it. Is it in the line? It is not.
Warriors bench calling for a touch there, but they're not going to get it.
Say that looked like a Cougars point off the initial block. An outstanding defensive effort. Got it back over the net. Now Cougars, they're at set point here as Marin gets set for the serve. She's got 2 aces on the day, and she's going to have to wait for 3. Nice defensive play by Haywood to pop it up. Here comes Foley, a strong attack. It is out. No one touched it, so CUC will have to wait for that 25th point, as WLC is now at point number 20. 24-20, number 24 to serve in Nabasic. As she waits a minute, one of the far side official having a word with Coach Palmer of CUC. Coach Palmer wanting some clarification over one of the previous calls. We saw Coach Palmer talk a lot with the officials last match, and you like seeing a coach who's willing to stand up for his players, especially a first-year coach, too. That builds trust really quickly.
Yeah, pretty calm approach there with the officials. Wasn't too animated, like you said, just getting some clarification possibly.
As Cougars looking for that 25th point, WLC, they're not going to let that happen just yet. 24-21. WLC on an unbelievable run right now. And you got to believe Coach Palmer, like Troy mentioned, might be eyeing that timeout. CUC up by 9 at one point before WLC started climbing back in it. There goes WLC attack. Haywood pops it up. Here comes Vernango. Back to Haywood. This attack. WLC in control of it. They're going to send it over. Hits the top of the net. Down to her knees is Haywood to grab it. Foley now. Her attack is stopped. Foley goes up for the 50-50 ball, and that'll do it for set one. Violation on WLC ends it. Cougars take it 25-21, but not before some late set dramatics from WLC. Again, at one point, the Warriors down 22-13 in the set, and the Cougars barely won it 25-21. And Troy, again, CUC now up 1-0 in the match, but that's set a lot closer than maybe it should have been, especially what we saw from the middle of the set. But we're going to talk about that when we come back from break. Cougars took some difficulties at the end, but they pull off the set one win 25-21. We're going to take a break here, and we'll be back in just a minute for set two action as the Cougars lead the Warriors in the match 1-0.
We love the support you give us on and off the field. To donate to our athletic communications department, hit the thank you button below. This helps us continue to have the best live stream possible for some great Cougar volleyball moments. Thank you and enjoy the game.
Back here in Geisman Gymnasium, we got the Hawaiian themed songs playing for her night in Geisman. But for the team on the court, CUC more focused on that set one victory. And Troy, even though, again, it was a set one win, WLC gave CUC quite a scare there at the end. CUC in control of that set for a majority of the set. And then, like you said, after that second time, caught out by Coach Voss of WLC, the Warriors looked like a brand new ball team. They made that set a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be.
Yeah, it's what we said needed to happen for the Warriors. They needed to get a little bit of momentum, and even though they lost that first set, you definitely can feel the tide turn a little bit to get on a little run there, score some points, make it close, make the Cougars work for it a little bit. So props to the Warriors for fighting that last 10 or so points in that first set, and we'll see here if it carries over to the second set, if they can get to a hot start, or if the Cougars can bounce back and not let the Warriors go on that run and continue to get off to the hot start that they had in the first set.
Well, some of the match leaders so far in kills, it is Kayla Wigley for WLC. In terms of the Cougars, they got 4 players at 2, and Brown, Foley, Hunt, and Haywood. The assist leader right now is who else but Isabel Vernango. She's got 8 so far on the night. Meanwhile, when you're looking defensively, in terms of digs for CUC, it is Grace Haywood with 4. Meanwhile, for WLC and for the match in general, it is Kylie Nabasic. She's got 6 on the night. So teams, some final in-between set preparations here, as this is a very big set too. WLC looking to carry over the momentum, tie up the match, while CUC looking to take that commanding 2-0 set lead.
It is a really important set because you don't want to fall behind 2-0. It's tough to win 3 straight sets to conclude an evening, and so if you're the Warriors, this is a really big one.
Again, it is the start of conference play for both these teams as WLC starts off the set with a kill. Both teams playing in their first Northern Athletic Collegiate Conference matchups tonight, beginning the action, if you will. So an important game in that sense as well. A long season yet to go, but you always want to start your conference schedule off with a W. And right now, this second set is started off with a 1-1 tie. Back to serve for the Cougars is Grace Haywood. The senior out of Northbrook, Illinois, has really left her mark on this program over the last year, dating back to her senior year last year. This is her 5th year. But Haywood, first team all-conference last season, broke a couple school records, broke a few NAC records even. And she's looking to finish off her career in the maroon and gold on a strong note and hopefully a playoff appearance for her squad. She serves the ball, her team up 2-1 on WLC in this second set. Nice dig there from Haywood, and it takes a bad bounce, so off the top of the net. Kind of throws off the Cougars defenders, and we are tied up in the set 2-2 now.
An already better start for the Warriors than in set one. The more competitive back and forth here.
I think a part of it is just the energy levels. I mean, for a majority of that first set, it was all CUC, not only in the scoreboard, but also just the volume levels, the energy levels. The fans were into it, the bench was into it, the players, were into it. And then once WLC started that comeback, you could tell the energy levels start to drop off a little bit. So CUC, they need to get back to those hyped ways of early set one play. So big solo block there from Margie Stevens, needing no help. CUC sends it back over, and there's too strong an attempt out of Lily Schutz, a sophomore out of Lake Mills, Wisconsin. And because of that, we're now tied up at 3. Shira Marin, her serve is played by the opposing libero in Nabasic, and there's an attack error from Maya Kapalko, and that'll give CUC a lead here in set 2, 4-3. Marin now. Something else to keep in mind about tonight's matchup, Troy, is this CUC team, they haven't played in over a week. As we mentioned, their last game, as Shira Marin from the ground, a one-handed defensive play, and that attack too strong, out of bounds. CUC gets a point out of it. Talk about Shira Marin giving it all on the court.
Really heads up, really athletic play there, already on the ground to be able to stick her fist back up there and tip that ball in the air to keep it alive for the Cougars, end up getting the point. So really good effort there for her.
Follows it up with a service error, so WLC back within 1. But as we were saying, over a week without live game action for CUC, and the rust was not evident in set 1, especially the way they came out. But still, there are definitely some positives and some negatives to not having a game in over a week. You're probably well rested. Injuries are going to be of little concern in coming into the game. But you also haven't played a live team in over a week, so these maybe close situations you're not quite prepared for mentally just yet.
Yeah, and it is early in the year, too, so when you talk about being battle-tested, that typically doesn't happen until you've played a lot of games, especially in the conference, where a lot of these battles can go into 4 and 5 sets. So we'll see how the Cougars can adjust to this back-and-forth style set here, as we see a big block there by number 1, Acacia Brown.
Brown throwing a dunk. I made the comment last time they played that she should try out for the women's basketball team. The way she gets up there and seemingly throws the ball down, she does it there, slams that block into the ground for the point. But something to remember is that last game they did play was a very close affair, a 5-set thriller with multiple sets of extra volleyball. So it's not like this team hasn't been through some adversity, as Lily Hunt, a running play to keep it in. Grace Haywood sends it over. What an effort there from the sophomore. She's back at it. One knee, pops it up. Now Kate Foley, another sophomore. She sends it over to WLC. Shira Marin, a falling attempt can't get enough of it, so WLC eventually gets the point, but what an effort there from the Cougars.
It got Geisman going there a little loud. You could probably hear it through the broadcast there. Really exciting back and forth rally there. Something we saw only really once in that first set.
Isabel Vernango. Lily Hunt sends over attempt. WLC there. And this one goes out off of CUC. 7-6 the score now. Serve here from Emily Marone, and an attempt into the net for Kate Foley. And we got a new ball game here in set 2. Knotted up 7-7.
We talked about the hitting percentage in the first set, how it was only Kayla Wigley in the positives. Now we've got 3 Warriors, Bailey Halliburton, Lily Schutt, and Kayla Wigley. So offensively, the Warriors are playing a lot better in this second set, which is why we see now the first Warrior lead that we've seen tonight.
And there's something interesting down on the CUC bench with this team trailing. You see Andrew Palmer walking up and down the bench line, clapping, trying to get his team fired up back into it as they now trail by 2. Lily Hunt missing that dig while falling. 9-7 the score.
An unlucky play there. Kasia Brown went for the tip to pop it back up, and Lily Hunt had already committed to the dive, and so there was nobody there when that tip fell to the ground. Unfortunate break for Concordia.
Marone, her serve, played by the Cougars. Brown! That one with some nice topspin on it. Plays off the hands of Nabasic and just rolls right off of them. Point Cougars, they trail by 1 as Kate Foley goes to start off the volley. Foley, serve is over. WLC sends it back to CUC. Now Vernango to Haywood. We say those 2 names a lot, and as we should. Grace Haywood finishing the setup from Vernango. And the Cougars have tied up this one 9-9. Foley. Her serve played by WLC. A floater to Lily Hunt. Nice try on that one, but just couldn't get under it. And because of it, WLC on top by 1 here.
Halliburton will return for WLC.
Foley. Haywood. Too much fuel in that rocket. Sails over everyone and out for the WLC point. Warriors back on top, extending their lead 11-9 as Coach Palmer once again having some words with the far side official.
A little bit more animated on that time, so it's possible whatever they talked about in the first set, he saw again here in the second set. It looked like the Cougars were begging for a touch on that last ball out of bounds.
We've seen WLC want the same out of the officials as that one goes out of bounds off a CUC pair of mitts, and it's now 12-9 in favor of the Warriors, who are taking control of this second set. And a bad reception there by Shira Marin. It is 13-9, and that's going to force Coach Palmer to use his first timeout of the set, as he's going to try and calm his team down. They are trailing WLC 13-9 here in set number 2. We're going to take a breather up in the booth, and when we're back on the Cougar Sports Network, the resumption of set 2 action. Well, Troy, we talked about if we would see the effects from that late set one comeback for WLC, and I think we are here as they are on top of the Cougars 13-9. But in your eyes, what are they doing so well that is leading to them taking this lead here in set two and looking like a completely different volleyball team than what we saw for the majority of set one?
Well, you're right. It is a completely different volleyball team. We're seeing them play better in multiple different areas. We've seen fewer errors. We've seen some better sets in offensive action. As I say that, we get a service error there by number 26, Margie Stevens. But it's also the energy. The energy's coming from the bench. It's coming from the court. They're involved. They're excited. And they're coming for this second set.
Acacia Brown, she goes back to serve, hoping to hopefully get her team back on track as they are trailing by 3, 13-10. As Grace Haywood, a strong attempt, blocked up front and then cleaned up in the back row by Emily Incaprero, but an attack error on WLC leads to the CUC point. They now trail by just 2, 13-11, and Troy, I'm going to need your tour guide expertise on this one, but Acacia Brown from Addison, Illinois, and if I'm not mistaken, that is the original home of Concordia University.
You got it. Concordia University Chicago, founded in Addison, Illinois in 1864, moved to River Forest, where we currently are here in 1913. So there you go. There is the tour guide script for you. 1864, Addison, Illinois.
Sounds like you've given that speech hundreds of times before.
More than you know. Worth noting, we've got a new player in here for the Cougars, the freshman, Kirsten Bockhorst.
As Grace Haywood finishes that play off for the kill, and Bockhorst has seen one set of play. That freshman Troy mentioned. No statistics under her name except for one total attempt. Didn't go anywhere. She has a 0 hitting percentage right now, but I think we're seeing, Troy, that Coach Palmer saw something clearly not working so far through set two as this attack goes out off WLC. CUC back within 1, so he's willing to try and mix things up a little bit here to find that right recipe.
You got it. And what I think it is the blocking, right? So you talk about setting up and making the job easier on the back row. Well, the easiest way to do that is to get those blocks up, those hands up to get tips or even to get blocks. But without getting up and getting pressure, being in place, being in the right spot, it's hard for those back row players to react when there's no pressure being put on those hitters for WLC. So it's definitely a move to try and increase the blocking pressure for the Cougars.
Yeah, Kirsten Bockhorst stands at 5'9", so she is already one of the taller players on that CUC front line as that service error gives the lead right back to WLC. Bockhorst, a freshman out of Union, Missouri. One of several freshmen on this squad, a decent-sized freshman class for the Cougars this year. As this one stays within the line, CUC calling out on it. Some poor judgment on their part as it was, in fact, in, and results in the Warriors' point. They're up 16-14 now. As Wigley tries to extend that lead some more. Marin pops it up. Here comes Vernango now for Haywood. A strong attack. Is it too strong? It is, but they are saying touch on WLC. So the Cougars scrape a point out of it. 16-15 the score. Haywood currently 4th in the conference, coming into tonight at kills percent as well as points per set, 3.8 and 4.3 respectively in those statistics. As her serve goes into the middle of the net, 17-15 now. Both teams are within 10 points of that magic number of 25. WLC has the advantage as they're only 8 away compared to the Cougars' 10. Serving is Nabasic. A low dig there by Foley and a great effort by Hunt. She gets it over. Now the Cougars get it back and are on attack. Does it go out? It does not. It touches the ground before. And it is now 19-15 as WLC back up by 4.
One thing to keep an eye on, that Grace Haywood's serve. She takes a great distance back from the line kind of towards what would be the block in basketball. So she's real far back. You saw early on she had a service error out of bounds, too strong, and that time into the net. So we'll see if she continues to be that far back, if she plays around a little bit. But a veteran player, she'll make the right adjustments going forward here.
18-16 as it's Marin to serve. It's a good serve. WLC has to respond. Haywood right there. Vernango now to Hunt. Blocked up front. It goes out of play, though, before Cougar touches it. 18-17 the score. Cougars back within one. WLC trying to tie up this match at one set apiece, while the Cougars really would like to take that 2-0 lead, give themselves plenty of breathing room. As here's an attack violation called, two-touch rule on the Warriors. I believe that was Valerio that was caught on. The whistle blowed right after she touched it. And so we got a new ball game late in set two, 18-18 as Marin. Nabasic to Valerio. And for the attack, blocked up front. Cougars back on the prowl. As this one, miscommunication there between Valerio and then the front line player and Lily Schutz. Schutz hit it, and I don't think she realized Valerio was right behind her, ready to clean up that rebound.
Yeah, that was tough because they got the tip. The ball didn't go back further where Valerio was already set up. So Schutt and Valerio kind of both caught in no man's land there.
Point to WLC, violation on the Cougars. 19-19 the score now, as both teams having difficulty pulling away here late in set two. WLC has been in control for most of this second set. It's a far cry from what we saw for most of set one. As this serve barely over the net, CUC handles it. Haywood now. This one popped all the way up. There's Nabasic. And going for the attack is Wigley. And now a little floater by Brown. It touches ground. And Cougars 5 away now from a set two victory. They're up 20-19. Lily Hunt back to serve. Hunt puts up the hand before sending one over. Here comes WLC. Blocked up front, rides the net for a second, and lands for a WLC point. Guess what? We got another tied game here now. 20-20 in set two.
Yeah, cleaner set here by both teams, which is the result here. A good back and forth matchup. A point here, a point there. 20-20. It's Hunt. And it's going to be touched by Emma Comprero on the way out. And that'll be a Cougar point. Take the lead 21-20.
So Cougars 4 away as it is. Kate Foley to serve. As Wigley tries to add on to her game-leading kill count. She won't yet. This one blocked. UC able to keep it up. As WLC, another attempt. This one breaks through and touches the ground. WLC, we're tied up again, 21-21. Now it's WLC who's playing catch-up, but luckily for them, they've never fallen without of one within the last handful of points.
That last point was another good example. Cougars didn't have anybody up to the net to contest that swing.
This one gets past the blocker, so WLC takes their first lead in a hot minute, 22-21. Back to serve is Stevens, the freshman, alum of Green Bay Southwest High School. Her serve tips the top of the net and touches down for the WLC point. As Andrew Palmer is going to use his last time out. WLC just 2 points away from taking this set and tying up the match at one set apiece. So we're going to take a break here as well on the Cougar Sports Network. And when we come back, the Warriors leading the Cougars 23-21.
appreciate you tuning into today's game. To stay up to date on all things CUC women's volleyball, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CUC_volleyball. We'll see you on campus soon.
Late here in set 2, and WLC leads it 23-21 over the Cougars. We look at some of the leaders. Kayla Wigley, 8 kills still, leads all players, but Grace Haywood right on her tail with 6 of her own assists. It's going to go to Isabel Vernango with 18. And in terms of digs, it's Kylie Nabasic, the libero for WLC. She has 8. As Shira Marin, she has 7 of her own. She gets a dig there. This one just barely over the net and off the hand of Brown and out, and that'll bring up set point here for WLC.
Yeah, that was a really big point coming out of the timeout there for WLC. And that'll be Steven Sear, the freshman.
Trying to end this set as there's a weirdly hit dig off Marin, and she gets another one there, but it is out. And that'll do it for set 2. CUC drops it 25-21. Funny enough, that was actually the end score of set number 1, so we just reverse scores here, and we have a 1-1 match, which means it's now a best of 3 here in Geisman Gymnasium. So when we come back on the Cougar Sports Network, we'll have the start of set 3 as one of these two teams is going to look to take control of this match back. We'll have that for you when we're back in just a minute.
Concordia University Chicago is a Christ-centered Lutheran university where truth, freedom, and vocation form students for lives of influence and service for the common good. Our university offers a wide variety of undergraduate and graduate degree options that are available in person and online. That means we have a program designed for you. Whether you're a high school student, an adult returning to complete your degree, or someone looking to enhance your credentials and prepare for career growth. As a member of this university community, you'll also find support in your spiritual and personal life so you can grow in the faith and discover ways to serve others. To start your next journey with us, visit cuchicago.edu today.
Back here on the campus of Concordia University Chicago, Cougars taking on the Warriors in some women's volleyball action tonight. First game of conference play for both squads, and we got a tied match 1-1. So now it's going to be a best of 3 as we head into set number 3. Before we get into the X's and O's of things, let's look at some of the stat leaders from tonight. Kayla Wigley leading both teams in kills with 9. Meanwhile, for CUC, this kill leader is Grace Haywood with 6. In terms of assists, Isabel Vernango has got a game-leading 18. Meanwhile, Diggs, Nabasic with her 8. Right behind her is Shira Marin and Grace Haywood with 7 each. But Troy, maybe we can play a little bit of Coach Palmer here up in the booth, but what do you think some of these in-between sets adjustments are going to be as we head into set 3, knowing that his team has played some really good volleyball here tonight, but needs to get a big set win here to avoid going down 2-1.
Yeah, I think he's probably, talking to his blockers. We see coming back out to the court, Kirsten Bachhorst, a freshman who came in about halfway through that second set. So that's probably a point of emphasis from here on out. But it's really just, rebounding, right? Getting back. There's a lot of volleyball left to play. It's just 1-1. It's like a brand new match. Like you said, a best of 3 now from here on out. And so there's a ton of volleyball left to play for the Cougars. Definitely don't need to get down or to give up after that second set loss. So come back, hopefully get back out to an early lead if you're the Cougars. And then if you're the Warriors, again, you just keep going with what you got, man. You've got the momentum. You had the momentum late in the first set. You had the momentum the majority of the second set. And so you're looking to continue that. If you're the Warriors and the Cougars, you're trying to curb it. So we'll see what happens here.
Well, we see Bachhorst on the court for CUC. Obviously, we haven't seen too much of her tonight. We also see Brooke Christensen on the court as well. We haven't seen much of her tonight either. So Coach Palmer changing up the lineup a little bit here as his team needs a big set win to go up 2-1 in the match. And it's going to start off with too strong an attack from Lily Hunt. Point WLC. So no Acacia Brown and no Kate Foley, as they are both talking to Coach Palmer on the bench right now. Those two have been regulars in the lineup this year. They're going to set out the start of this set as Haywood, a one-handed setup from Vernango. Bachhorst trying to get one there and said she'll have to wait. This one popped back up, Vernango, and now they're going to go to Hunt. Now Bachhorst pops it back up off the block. WLC a floater. Grace Haywood pumps it up with a fist. And now here comes Wigley, and she finally ends this volley, a long volley, and it was Wigley who's been doing the majority of kills for every player. She has the most of any player on this court. She adds another one there.
Yeah, you got it. She's into the double digits now. Nobody else on her team has more than 4.
As Wigley pops it up and whistle blown. Violation 2-touch on WLC. Yeah, Wigley with 10, and then you have Halliburton and Schutz both at 4. Meanwhile, the Cougars spreading the love a bit more. Haywood, she has 6. Hunt with 5, Brown with 4, and Foley with 3. Those are all the players with multi-kills. As Vernango sends it to Christensen. She's trying to get her first on the night. It'll have to wait as this one rolls off some Cougars and out 3-1. The WLC lead now here in set number 3. Wigley to serve. As here comes Haywood, a rocket. Does it stay in? It does not. WC up 4-1 now. Doesn't really feel like, Troy, that CUC ever really got back to that play we saw in set 1 before the second WLC timeout, where this CUC team was just firing on all motors. Seems like they're still trying to get back there, especially energy level wise.
Yeah, part of that is it's a balance, right? Does the energy come from playing well, or do you play well because you have energy? And so some teams can work a little bit differently, but the Cougars got to find that for themselves right now. Does the energy help the play? And more than likely it will, so they got to manufacture that somehow in this third set.
Well, there won't be any coming from there as there's a WLC kill. 5-2 the score now. Bachhorst checking out. Acacia Brown checked in before that last point. As Nabasic sends it right to Haywood, who sends it to Vernango. Here's Christensen. Nabasic goes down on a knee to grab it. And this is out of play. Point CUC. Cougars pull back within 2 now. 5-3 the score as Lily Hunt Goes back to serve.
That swing by Brooke Christensen, a really good one. It's one of the first times that we've seen in a while the Warriors actually have to dig a hit by the Cougars. And so a lot of those sailing out of bounds. So a good swing there by Christensen as she head back. Another one blocked and not covered there for the Cougars. So that'll be a Warrior point, taking them to 7.
Yeah, I think a problem defensively for the Cougars right now is they're just having trouble getting control of the ball cleanly, which means that they're not able to convert that into settled offense, which is why you pointed out, Troy, that attack from Christensen, really the first clean attack we've seen from the Cougars offense in a while. So CUC trying to get control of the ball again more fluidly. They won't do it there yet. It is now 7-3 in favor of WLC as they built this lead back up to 4 again.
Yeah, another miscommunication there. Both Christensen and Haywood going for the ball there to get it over on the third hit. It'll be in Comprero in the serve. Christensen to hit it over.
As WLC is going to get another point off the hands of Hunt and out. 8-3 now. We're seeing kind of a repeat of set 1 here, except it's the away team who is doing the damage. They're up 9-3 on the Cougars early in set number 3.
Comprero again with the serve.
As Brown sends one over. This one hits the roof. Hits the ceiling, I mean to say. And dies down. So Geisman literally helping out the Cougars score a point there. As Christensen now back to serve.
Unlucky break for the Warriors. It looked like it hit off that speaker, which is actually on an angle, and brought that ball back into the court.
As this one lands out, last touch by CUC. 10-4, the WLC score now. As we're getting a brief stoppage here, the official scores table having a word with the far side official, that is Mallory Roberts. Daniel Rodriguez is on the ladder. Then Clink Robinson and Eric Krizak are the flag holders, the line judges for tonight. I think flag holders is a cooler term. So Coach Palmer is going to use this stoppage to talk with his team. Coach Palmer, you can tell it's his first year as a Cougar. We've only seen 1 home game and 2 sets from him, 2+ sets now, but you can tell just how active he is as a head coach. He's always chatting with his players. He's trying to get the bench going, and as you can see here, he was the first of these 2 coaches to bring his players together.
Yeah, and hopefully, he's inspiring those Cougars right now, down 4-10. In this third set, trying to get them back going here, boost the confidence, focusing on communication. Maybe we've seen a couple plays not go the Cougars' way simply because of uncertainty about who was going to get the ball.
Well, and we found out what they're talking about, the scores table, is actually the score itself. It's 9-4, not 10-4. So instead of a 6-point lead, we're looking at a WLC 5-point lead, and as I say that, now it's a 6-point lead, 10-4. So WLC gets that point back that was wiped off the board for whatever reason. And going back to serve to try and keep the momentum is Emily Marone. As here comes Haywood, a strong attack, a diving play by Marone. She looked more like a soccer goalie on that one. Dies off her hands and down. 10-5 the score, as coming in for the Cougars to serve is Katie Hadel. Number 22 in white has largely come in for serving duties for CUC, a junior defensive specialist out of St. Charles, Illinois. As here comes Haywood, a strong attack, and that's what happens. You do not want to be on a receiving end of a full Grace Haywood rocket. because that's what's going to happen to you. And now it's 10-6 in favor of WLC. Hadel. Serve is good. As Vernango pops it up for Hadel, who gives it to Haywood. And now back to WLC. Blocked up front by Bockhurst and Haywood. Ball still live. This one gets past the blocking line, and two players dive for it. No one gets there, as it is the WLC point, up 11-6 now.
That was a better job there by the Cougars. They blocked the first one, and that second time, the hands were up. It just happened to sneak through in between the arms of Kirsten Bockhorst. But good to know that Cougars were in the right position, hands above the net, helping their defensive line out.
Marin for Haywood, a strong attack. WLC able to curb it, and Kristen Bockhurst says, not in my house, sends it back to WLC, and that'll be her first career kill as a CUC Cougar. Isabel Vernango now. 11-7, or 7-11 if you prefer. As this one hits the top of the net, Cougars win the 50-50 ball, 8-11 now. Cougars trail as Vernango will serve.
Speaking of 7-Eleven, you been up to the new one on North Ave to get a slushie?
I did not even know there was a new one on North Ave.
Check it out.
Of course, there is the, I think it's fair to say, iconic 7-Eleven, just a 5-minute walk from CUC. Which I know plenty of students, including myself, like to frequent for all your convenience store needs. But meanwhile, back on the actual campus, it's 12-8 in favor of WLC. Valerio, as Vernango can't do much with that one, 13-8. I do gotta ask, is there anything that makes the new 7-Eleven different from the old one?
You
Bigger?
can get gas there.
Oh, okay, it's a gas 7-Eleven.
It is bigger, and there's a giant Slurpee on the top of it, a big old inflatable Slurpee.
So the marketing, I gotcha.
Exactly.
They're using that gas money well, putting it towards inflatables. Well, maybe WLC will hit it up on their way out of Concordia as they're hoping to leave with a W. They're on track right now as they're up 14-9 in set 3. So Cougars get a point there. As Haywood back to serve.
Haywood still setting up the serve fairly deep here.
Wiggly, and Bockhurst almost dunks it down. WLC got under it in time, so we're still playing here. Marin now to Haywood. And that's going to whistle blow. Should be two-touch rule. Kind of odd. I think some of the fans called that one before the officials did. That was number 8, Bailey Halliburton, who she blocked it. And then without it touching the net or any other player, hit it again, which is the definition of a two-touch rule. You can't do that. So 14-10 the score now in favor of the Warriors. As that one blocked up front by Bockhurst, CUC able to play it. Christensen hits the net and dives it down for WLC's 15th point of the set. They're up by 5 now, 15-10.
The freshman Bockhorst doing a nice job here early, giving the Cougars a good few minutes now. She's been, halfway through the second set and most of the third set here. It'll be Wiggly to serve.
Yeah, Bockhurst making the most out of her extended playing time as Haywood just got a bad piece of that one. 16-10 now. But Bockhurst coming into this match had only played in one set. She's now played in 2 in this match alone. So Coach Palmer going to her in hopes that she can help turn the tide in favor of CUC. Vernango now to Christensen, a strong attack, and I believe that actually at the face of Valerio, excuse me.
That's one thing a week off a competition can do. You get a lot of practice time in between and allow for some of these younger players who may not get as many looks early in camp, but as time goes on to impress Coach Palmer. And so it's very possible in the week off that Bockhorst did a good job in practice, enough to earn herself some good time here against WLC.
Yeah, you want to look at the freshmen who've actually played this season so far for Coach Palmer. You have Bockhurst, and then you have Bethany Rothel. And other than those two, Rachel Livesay, excuse me, I missed her name on the list, but those three freshmen have been the only ones to receive playing this time this year. But we have a timeout as Coach Palmer trying to get his team under control. They're down 17-11 here at CUC. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will resume set 3 action. So timeout over as we're getting ready to resume set 3 action. Troy Cougars got some work to do, down 17-11. Let's look at some team stats really quick in terms of total kills. The Warriors on top 33-26. Hitting percentage, Warriors also on top 170-125. Service aces, you see a disparity there, 6-3 in favor of WLC. They also have 5 blocks to the Cougars 2. And other than that, most of the other major stats are neck and neck, but those differences are enough to give WLC a 6-point lead here in set 3 as they look to take a 2-1 set lead in the match. And this one takes a bad bounce off the top of the net. Cougars cannot respond in time, and it is now 19-11.
Yeah, Brown had already turned her back there when the ball left the libero's hand, never saw the ball hit the net and fall just a few inches from her.
Ball up and down. How about another service ace for WLC? You don't see that a lot, Troy. You know, team's coach will call a timeout, and usually they get that timeout point that people call it. You come out of the timeout, you have the game plan, you're fired up, you usually get a point out of it. WLC says that thing is non-existent. We're going to come out and respond with 2 service aces. As Nabasic is going to break her streak with a service error. Cougars get a point out of it as it will now be 19-12. Lily Hunt. Cougars need to go on a run here at some point. An attempt there, blocked up front. Haywood now. Vernango to Foley, blocked there. The duo of Stevens as well as Grace Fry. We mentioned them earlier, and they paying off again here. 20-12. WLC just 5 away now from taking a 2-1 set lead. The serve is number 7. And Caprero serves it right into the biceps of Haywood. CUC gets set on defense. Hunt now to Vernango. Here comes Brown, blocked up front. Hunt, a falling play. Pops it up. Kate Foley, a big block there. This time it's Stevens and Joanna Andre. And it's now 21-12. This front line of defense coming alive for WLC.
Yeah, back-to-back blocks there. It's something we've been looking for the Cougars to improve on, and the Warriors are hitting it on all cylinders right now.
The serving line is still probably their biggest question mark right now, as Caprero sends one into the net. That's how CUC has been getting their last few points.
It is interesting. We talked about in the pregame WLC came in second in the conference in service aces, 2.38. And we've seen quite a few of those today, but we've also seen just as many service errors.
9 errors for WLC when serving, 7 for the Cougars, so 16 total. As it's now 22-13. Coming into the match to serve is Emily Marone, sophomore out of Reedsville, Wisconsin. As Vernango to Brown, popped up by Nabasic. Now here comes Wigley. It's blocked. It's still alive for the Cougars. It's still going for CUC. Here comes Haywood. She flips it over. WLC's there. Wigley now blocked. Hunt pops it up off the rebound. Vernango to Hayward. A strong attack. It's down. Great defense there from CUC. And Troy, you just hope that a volley like that has good offense and good defense is what this team needs to get fired up.
Yeah, you got a good set there by Vernango going from the top of the court to the bottom of the court. Haywood was ready, was able to beat the Wisconsin Lutheran blockers as they were headed towards us down here at the bottom of the court. Couldn't get up in time, just get fingers on it for the tip out of bounds.
Wrigley. Here comes Stevens. Her attack is thwarted. Now Vernango, kind of a weird angle on that one. Doesn't catch WLC sleeping. Foley down to her knees to get it. She does. Haywood now again. Does it stay in? It does not. CUC celebrating prematurely. Got some jeers from the crowds as Coach Palmer displaying his frustration with some of the out-of-play calls we've seen tonight.
We're going to see Vernango, the team's captain here, discussing this with the official.
Yeah, you think, obviously this is coming from two guys who do not play volleyball, at least that I'm aware of. But you would think, as there's a yellow card now, but you would think something as cut and dry as calling if the ball is in or out of the line. I know it's a high-speed sport. I know it's easier said than done. But you'd think with something like that would not cause so much discussion because, again, it seems like it's either in the line or it's out of the line. I don't know if I'm making a mountain of a mole here, but it seems every game you get these discussions.
My guess is this second trip back to the stand here is Vernango getting clarification on the yellow card.
Yeah, we haven't seen one of those before. I'm assuming it'll be for Coach Palmer and just how much he's been discussing with these referees, the calls. But obviously you don't want a yellow card, but maybe it'll have that effect of, getting your team hyped up a little bit, that your coach is willing to take the punishment for standing up for you as they respond there with a point. 23-15 the score now.
Good start. You got to get back into it sometime, and you don't have a ton of time left here with the Warriors at 23, so the Cougars do have to go on a substantial run here. Here's Vernango.
CUC can allow one more point in this set as Wigley tries to get that 1 point. She can't. And now WLC, an attack error off the hands of Andre. And it's 23-16. CUC essentially needs to go at worst on an 8-1 run. That's what they can afford. And then that will leave the door open for extra volleyball. As there's a block up front, Bockhurst and Haywood. WLC able to rebound it, and then just some miscommunication there results in another CUC point, 23-17 now.
Yeah, sometimes these comebacks can be aided by a little bit of luck, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some miscommunication there, an error on the last one. The last 2 points here, kind of unforced, but Cougar points nonetheless.
You're just hoping it's not too little too late for CUC as they still have 6 points to go before tying this one up. Make that 7 points to go as it is now set point for WLC. 24-17 the score.
That was Bailey Halliburton. She's nearing double-digit kills now on the night. The second best hitting percentage at 263.
And Halliburton with 8 kills. As this serve is played by the Cougars. They cannot afford to give up a point here. 24-17 here in set 3. And that will do it for set 3. Wigley, who else, getting her 13th kill on the night. And the Warriors claim a second straight set, which means we are going to go into set number 4. CUC, it's do or die as they trail the Warriors 2-1 in the match. We'll have to see if the Cougars can come back and force another set 5, our second straight match with a set 5, or if the Warriors are going to close things now in this 4th set, and they're going to leave 1-0 in conference play. So we'll be back in just a minute on the Cougar Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Set 4 coming up shortly.
CUC nursing student and choose to stand tall for healing at a university that places Christ at the center and embraces teaching students to live a life fulfilled by purpose and meaning. Concordia University Chicago's new Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree is an innovative and rigorous 4-year program that will prepare you to rise to the daily challenges of a rewarding nursing career and serve a greater cause. Our newly built modern simulation center features 4 distinct spaces, a skills attainment lab, multi-specialty intensive care spaces, a health assessment learning center, and a simulated home environment. Due to our close proximity to many world-class teaching hospitals, CUC's clinical rotations offer an abundance of diverse and real-world experiences. Learn more about earning your BSN at a Christ-centered university today.
It's do or die for the Cougars as we prepare to get ready for set number 4. They trail WLC in the match 2-1. Troy WLC taking that third set, in commanding fashion towards the end, 25-17. What are the big adjustments need to be for CUC here in this 4th set if they want to avoid it being the last set we play tonight?
Well, you got to go all in if you're the Cougars now. You don't have no room to play with. Down 2-1 here, and so mistakes can be crucial. So you just got to go out. You got to play hard. You got to communicate. You got to get your hands up, get a few more blocks. We saw that was really how WLC got back into that third set there, back-to-back blocks, and they went on a run. So that's going to be crucial for the Cougars here in this 4th set now, and to see if they can get to a hot start. We talked about WLC bringing the energy back in that late in the first set to carry it on to win the next 2 sets. So we'll see if the Cougars can jump back into that, bring some energy of their own coming out of this huddle, and get back into this match and take set 4 from the Warriors.
And it feels like one of the things that they're missing tonight is that one just insane performance from one of their players, as none of their players have incredibly mind-boggling stats. Grace Haywood, she's sitting at 10 kills, a decent number through 3 sets, but nowhere near what we're used to seeing out of Grace Haywood. Isabel Vernego, 24 assists. Again, a good number on its own right, but from what we've usually see out of Vernego, kind of lower by her standards. So it feels like, Troy, if the Cougars want to force that set 5, they're going to need one of these older players, one of these pillars of the offense to really just take off here.
So we'll see if it's going to come from the freshman libero entering the game now, Bethany Rothel out of Westby, Wisconsin. And she will be the new libero in yellow.
Interesting change here for the Cougars as Bethany Rothel makes appearance number set appearance number 6 in this 4th set. And it starts with a WLC point off the air. So Marin out. You kind of get the sense Coach Palmer a little disappointed with how his defense as a whole has been playing. It isn't just Marin, obviously, but sometimes that means putting in a new libero, seeing what she's got, and hopefully shaking up the defense a little bit, as it's now 1-1 after that CUC point.
Yeah, sometimes switches like that can just provide a spark for a team like this who's struggled the last 2.5 sets or so.
Serve from Foley, played by Nabasic. Valerio, as Rothel can't get under that one in time. Point Warriors off the attempt from Lily Schutz. And going back to serve, it'll be Kayla Wigley. She leads all players in kills with 13. 370 hitting percentage as well. So she's having herself a fantastic offensive game as Grace Haywood really trying to hit her stride. It won't happen yet as WLC takes a 3-1 lead now.
And part of that deal is if you go back, viewers at home, and you go pause that clip, as soon as Haywood gets set to make contact with the ball, you see 2 blockers with their arms above the net, as well as the 4 defensive players in position to receive or hit, and that's what happened. The ball made it through the blockers, but when you've got 4 defenders in position to receive it, it's tough to get a kill that way.
Yeah, and talking to Coach Palmer during our Coaches Weekly segments, which you can find on our YouTube page, CUC Sports, he talked about offense was really his focus this year, as this team was a good defensive team last season. That service error is going to make it 4-2 in favor of WLC. But this team was a good defensive team last season. It was usually the offense that kind of came up short, and he was wanting to change that this year. He knew you had to put up points on the board to win, even as good as your defense could be. But obviously that doesn't mean sacrificing defense at the same time, as it's been a little under average here for the Cougars, as CUC gets a point out of that. 4-3 now the score.
The other thing to keep in mind for the Cougars is we've got Haywood at 11 kills, and the next highest is Acacia Brown at 6. Lily Hunt follows with 5.
As there's a couple hands flapping at the ball, and Hunt, she's trying to get kill number 6. She won't yet. A strong attack there. Kate Foley stands her ground, gets the dig, and Grace Haywood finishes off the play, pins it in the back row. New ball game here in set 4. It's 4-4.
You can feel the energy kind of come back in this gym. It's a defensive play turned to a good setup and then a good swing by Haywood. So defense to offense is what we've been looking for, and the Cougars got it right there. Vernengo left to right on the screen to Wigley.
As this attack is out, CUC point. They take the lead 5-4. Again, CUC needs to win this 4th set if they want to keep the match alive, while WLC, they're trying to just clinch things here. Avoid set 5, which is how the Cougars defeated Lake Forest over a week ago last Tuesday in a 5-set thriller. As here's a floater, Rothel. She gets under it. Haywood now sends it right into the net. Grace Haywood, a few errant attacks here tonight. Doesn't appear to be in her usual prime look of where everything she touches is a good attack. As this ball bounces off Foley's hands, the Cougars keep it moving, and there's some miscommunication. That was Stevens who thought about going up for it. She thought someone was behind her. There wasn't anyone behind her, so it touches the ground for the CUC point. Haywood now back to serve. 6-5, CUC leads.
Yeah, I think Incomprero thought Stevens was a little bit further away from her than she really was there.
And Bassick lets her team deal with it after the opening dig. Nango now. Foley blocked and down. CUC point. They're up by 2 now, 7-5.
So that dig by Kate Foley, the kill by Haywood to get the Cougars back into it, tied at 4, has been a spark here. The Cougars now on a 4-1 run here.
Yeah, all sometimes it takes is one good play, one defense to offense. As violation called on WLC players out of rotation, maybe some pre-serve movement, whatever it is. Cougars, they're now up 8-5.
It's going to be on number 21, Lily Schutz.
Well, look at the preseason poll for the NAC. These two teams both right in the middle of the pack. WLC, they're picked to finish 7th, which would be 1 spot out of a playoff berth, while CUC, as WLC gets a point here, 8-7 now. CUC, they're picked to finish 9th, right behind Illinois Tech and right ahead of Dominican. So both these teams projected to be middle of the pack, right on that playoff bubble in the preseason poll, trying to prove people wrong with an opening conference night win here. As a serve from Marone. Bockhurst, that one off the blocker's hands. This one pushed up. Rothel now to Hunt, blocked, back over the net to CUC side. Kind of sway there for a minute. Hunt attacks it again. Nabasic goes up for it. Here comes Wigley, blocked and down. WLC back within 1 now, 8-7. To serve is Marone. And Foley, a falling day, gets out of bounds. So we are tied up now at 8 points apiece.
That point right there is a result of a mishandled service receive there, sending the ball back over after only 1 touch.
Fernango, here comes Hunt. Nabasic, Dolphin dives to grab it. This one over the net. Bockhurst is right there. Foley sends it and falling over and getting just a piece of it was Nabasic before it rolls out. 9-8 now.
Another really good play that's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but a good one nonetheless by the freshman middle blocker again, Bockhurst. So now we'll have the recently entered freshman libero to serve.
And look at that. Rothel gets a service ace out of it. She's a freshman chance. And she's going to look to do it again. 10-8, and it's out. So put those chants away. As now it'll be Stevens to serve. 10-9. Margie Stevens. Going down for it is Foley. Here's Vernango to Hunt. And that one is out as well. So you see applying a little too much power to their hits, and it is 10-10 as Stevens serves again. Ball popped up by Foley. Vernango sends it over as Wigley. A strong attack. Haywood just got a hand on it, and WLC uses a mini run here to take the lead 11-10.
Looked like Haywood was caught between making an effort at that one or letting it sail out of bounds, and I think that's why she didn't get all the way around in a full.
And a service ace here for WLC. It's 12-10 now. It was towards the middle of the set, last set, Troy, that we saw WLC kind of pick up the steam and eventually pull away for good. CUC looking to avoid that here in set 4. As there's a strong attempt from Hunt, doing her part to avoid that repeat. It's a 12-11 now.
Yeah, that'll end the 4-point run there by the Warriors. It was 10-8 Cougars, and then quickly 12-10 Warriors.
So CUC ends the Warrior run, and now we're tied up. Service ace by Lily Hunt, 12-12.
We've seen service hit the net a few times. That one works for Concordia's favor.
This one just barely over the net. Nabasic now. Here comes Andre. Haywood's able to curb her attack. Kate Foley. Cougars have been going to her a lot. This one almost works out. WLC still going after it. And Vernango, ball still alive somehow. Whistle blown, however. 4-touch rule on WLC. A highlight reel play nearly, except it was a violation, which means we got a 13-12 game in favor of CUC.
Cougars will clean the court a little bit here, make sure we're safe to go. And when we resume, it'll be number 10, the sophomore from Greenfield, Indiana, Lily Hunt, to serve for the Cougars.
Yeah, not as hot in Geisman tonight as it was last Tuesday when the Cougars took on Lake Forest. Just not a pleasant time, especially if you're one of the players on the court. It's humid in here, and tonight it's a little chiller outside, as that's reflecting here in Geisman as well. Cougars are looking to stay cool under pressure, though, as they have to win this set. Kasia Brown, WLC able to respond. Here's Wigley, blocked up front. Wigley gets her own rebound. And whistle blown, point CUC, 2-touch rule on WLC. And they're up by a pair now, 14-12, Cougar serve.
So just like that, it is a 4-point run the other way. So 4 straight for the Cougars now as Hunt to serve again. It'll be short, but received by Wigley and Caprero.
As Hunt pops it up, here comes Foley. This ball going all the way down, and one-handing it is in Caprero. And Foley responds with a move of her own, going down one-handed. Defensive clinic on this volley. Here's Andre. Haywood goes up for it. Vernango to Acacia Brown, too strong, out of play. CUC wanting a touch called, and instead it'll be 14-13 CUC, as Isabel Vernango having a chat with the ladder official once again. Touch is another call we've seen contested here a lot tonight, just like the in and out of the line call. As Vernango gets clarification from the line referee, Rodriguez. That's Daniel Rodriguez, to be precise. So Coach Palmer gives Rodriguez the thumbs up, says he's heard what he's needed to heard, as that's going to be a service error. CUC up by 2 now, 15-13. Kate Foley to serve. Her serve is over. And there's going to be a bad reception from Nabasic. Eventually ends in the stands. Cougars 16-13 now. And that's going to force a WLC timeout. Jenny Voss and her team are trailing the Cougars 16-13. So they're going to take a break, try and talk things over. Meanwhile, the Cougars are trying to clinch this 4th set and force set number 5. We'll see if they can do it when we come back on the Cougar Sports Network. CUC fans, you can head over to CUCougars.com for everything CUC athletics related, like the women's volleyball team. All you have to do is go to CUCougars.com, click on the sports tab, insert whatever team you're looking for. Women's volleyball is a possibility where you can find roster, schedule, stats, social medias, and more. Once again, that is CUCougars.com. Also has photos, links to our YouTube page, links to all our social medias. plenty of good stuff, so check out CUCougars.com when you got a chance. Meanwhile, let's hone back in on this volleyball game. Cougars up 16-13 in a must-win set 4 as they trail WLC 2-1 in the match. Foley's serve too strong, goes out the back, and that'll be WLC point as they're back within 2 now.
Not the start you wanted coming out of that timeout if you're the Cougars, but still holding on to a 2-point lead here as we're going to see Wigley.
And we're going to see Wigley hit it into the net as that's a CUC point, up 17-14 now after that service error.
So we've got Kirsten Bockhorst back in for the libero, and it's going to be Katie Hadel on to serve for the Cougars. We've seen her enter in every set here to serve in these situations.
Yeah, and every coach has that 1 or 2 players they like to bring in almost exclusively to serve, and so far, at least from what we've seen at home, it has been Katie Hadel as the Cougars get it over after some nice defensive play, and Katie Hadel couldn't get enough on that one, dies down. WLC 17-15. Hadel will check right back out. Acacia Brown in. As Brown will check back out for rotations purposes. In comes Rothel. Navasic to Foley. Vernango to Haywood. That hits the hand and out. Haywood gets a kill. And Troy, I don't know about you, but it feels like the Cougars are going for Hayward less often in this set. Maybe a decision on Coach Palmer's to shake up the offense, give WLC some looks they're less familiar with.
Yeah, it could be, just trying to not allow WLC to set up and prepare for Haywood. So if you can get a couple other hitters active, it's harder for the defense to be able to pick one person to stop, right? If you've got action coming from multiple hitters for the Cougars, WLC can't hone in on one specific player like they may do with Haywood in that situation.
And then you can break her out every once in a while like we saw there. She got a kill. Maybe she'll get heated up now. It feels like we have kind of been waiting for that as she sits at 13 kills. As Rothel gets a piece of that one. Vernango's able to save a errant reception, and then Haywood sends it into the net. That's another issue we've seen with Haywood is the errors, as that'll go down as number 10 for a player who's usually fundamentally very, very sound. This serve hits off the hands of Foley, and we are tied up now, 18-18.
You heard some out calls coming from the bench there. They thought maybe that one was headed out of bounds. Unfortunately, the Cougars did get a touch on that one. And we're going to get a timeout here by Coach Palmer.
So he'll talk things over, and we're going to keep it here. In fact, let's look over some of the stat leaders really quick for kills. It's still Kayla Wigley with 15. Grace Haywood right behind her with 13. In assists, Isabel Vernango now has hit the 30 mark. In Caprero, she has 17. That's the most on the WLC side. As for Diggs, Grace Haywood with 17. She secured herself another double-double effort tonight. Meanwhile, for Wisconsin Lutheran, it is Kaylee Nabasic. LaTroy, about 30 seconds left on the timeout. We're entering the late stages of set number 4. Cougars need to win it. What do these players need to be thinking, at least mentally, to make sure that happens? Obviously there's scheme things they need to execute, but what needs to be the mindset knowing that if you give up 7 more points, your game is over. You're staying home, I should say, with a loss.
Yeah, I think when you get down to crunch time, really in any sport, it's focusing on what you can control, right? Your actions, your side of the court, really being mindful of, hey, they're going to make a play. Like, more than likely this game's not going to end 25-18, right? So points are going to be going back and forth here, but you got to focus on what you're doing, what your team is doing, what your role is in these specific sets here, and going forward to try and just go point by point, right? You can't get all 7 at once, so point by point.
So the race to 7 starts with a too hard attack from Grace Haywood. She sends it out 19-18 now. Back to serve is Incaprero. Serve is too strong on the WLC side, so 19-19 as Haywood goes back.
And Caprero came into this game first in the NAC in service aces, and that's another one of those service errors here, so kind of uncharacteristically by both sides here, this many service errors.
Haywood now, Nabasic to Incaprero. Strong attempt there from Schutz. Cougars able to control it. Haywood, a diving play there by Nabasic. We're still going. Rothel for Vernango. Here comes Hunt. A strong attack, and it's out of bounds off of WLC point. Cougars 20-19. 20 serving, 19 now with Haywood. WLC's bench making some noise. And that one's going to backfire on them as Haywood fires across a service ace. And now Jenny Lee Voss is going to have to call a timeout for her team as they trail CUC 21-19 as we are hitting the end phase of set number 4. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will see maybe the conclusion of set 4. Cougars need to win it to keep this game alive. They lead the Warriors 21-19 on the Cougar Sports Network. Timeout breaking up here as the Cougars 4 points away from forcing set 5, while the Warriors are 6 points away from claiming the match. And Grace Haywood will continue her serving duties for CUC. They're on a 3-0 scoring run right now. Service ace, a Lily Hunt kill, and then a service error by WLC are the last 3 points. As checking in for WLC will be number 15, Hannah Vriesen. It is the first time we've called her name, at least tonight, as Grace Haywood pops it over the net. WLC now on the attack. Schutz, her attack goes nowhere. Vernango, a high ball for Foley, who sends it over. Wigley, and she finds no man's land. Good old put it where nobody ain't. She gets the point out of it, 21-20. Both teams within 5 now.
A good play by Wigley. She's had a good swing all night long. We've mentioned her name over and over again. She leads both teams in kills, and so a smart play there to just dump that one.
And that's a service ace, so we are all tied up. Finding the court on the serve was defensive specialist Marone. And we got a new ball game, 21-21. Both teams 4 points away from claiming the set, which means very different things for either team. Cougars, they claim it. We're heading to set 5. WLC, they win it. Game over, they win. Lily Hunt, a strong attempt. Popping it way up is Nabasic. Here comes Wigley, hits some hands. Rothel right there, but can't get anyone else under it. 22-21 now. WLC knocking on the door of picking up their first conference win, and because of it, Coach Palmer is going to have to call a timeout. So while he does that, I'm going to say thank you to make sure we thank everyone who is making this Cougar broadcast production possible. Let's start over at the scores table. Kate Johnson and Alina Simone working at the scores table. Meanwhile, up here on the broadcast side of things, we got William Bishop Green on camera, and then producing Saba Miller as well as Sydney Lloyd. We're under the direction of Sydney Process-Laher, as well as our sports information director, Kayla McLeod. Peter Bukowski on the call with you, joined all night by Troy Pratley. And Troy, this is a big timeout for CUC. They need to come out of it with that timeout effect we talked about of being able to get a couple points after it, because they don't have much run room here. They don't have much runway here. 3 points and the game is over if that comes from WLC. And one correction, Alina's last name is Paul. Still trying to learn all the freshman's name on our staff. So Alina Paul down at the scoring table. But Troy, back to our in-game discussion. CUC, it's do or die right now, even though they still have 3 points to play with.
Yeah, and you got to start with this point here. That's what I was talking about earlier. So they're going to receive the point from Emily Marone here, and you got to set up a good attack offensively.
Well, Rothel starts it with the diving dig. Here comes Foley. It's blocked up. Foley, a high pop fly. Nabosic receives it. WLC sends it over. The Cougars control it now. Blocked up front. Hunt pops up the rebound. Haywood now to Foley, and that's too strong an attempt. WLC 2 away now. 23-21. Set to serve is Marone. Vernango to Hunt. This one doesn't touch ground. Marone is right there. Here comes Wigley. That one touches ground, and it is match point for the Warriors.
Blockers up, but once again kind of sneaking through hands there, falling right in the middle of the Cougars defense.
Well, now the Cougars have to go on a 3-point run here to at least tie it up. Marone, Foley for Vernango. Here comes Haywood, and it touches in. Cougars aren't done yet. 24-22.
One of the better swings we've seen from Haywood tonight, from the 10-foot line down to this bottom right-hand corner here.
Yeah, Haywood hitting at an 070 mark, which is well below where she usually is. Rothel, her serve is good. Here comes WLC, and that's an attack error. Cougars within 1, making things interesting late in set 4. Their backs against the ropes. As Rothel, big serve here out of the freshman, and it hits the net. Almost a service error. We're not done yet. Acacia Brown, a big block. This one forced over Rothel, and that touches ground, and WLC clinches the match 3-1. The Warriors, they lost the opening set. CUC came out absolutely firing to start that set. The Warriors showed signs of life at the very end, and WLC really didn't look back following that late comeback attempt in set 1, controlled most of the rest of the match, and because of it, they're walking away 1-0 in conference play.
Yeah, tough one for the Cougars there to swallow. You know, this, looking at record in non-conference, you'd like to think that this is a game that they want to walk away with a win, and most matches are. But really felt like this was one they could have had. I think they proved that in the first set that this was a team they could handle, and they came out really hot, like you said, firing on all cylinders, offensively, defensively, and then it was kind of sporadic from there. We saw some flashes and some glimpses of it, but really didn't see it come together after that first set or so. And so a tough one here for the Cougars as they fall 25-23 in the 4th set and fall 3-1 to Wisconsin Lutheran here at home at Geisman Memorial Gymnasium.
Well, let's look at the final stat leaders before we close up this broadcast. Kayla Wigley leads all players in kills with 18. Behind her in second place, and first on the Cougar squad is Grace Haywood with 14 in terms of assists, your final assist leader is Isabel Bernango, and for digs, it will be Kylie Nabasic with 19. But that'll do it from River Forest. The Cougars, they're going to walk away with a record of 3-3 now, 0-1 in conference play, while WLC, they improved to 2-6 overall, 1-0 in conference play. A big opening conference win for the Warriors. The Cougars, they'll be back in action this weekend at the Wheaton College Tournament. It starts on Friday, September 15th at 7 p.m. when they take on Bethel University. They then got a doubleheader on Saturday, 11 a.m. against Maryville College and 3 p.m. against Manchester University. Coverage for those games can be found at CUCougars.com. The next time we are live from Geisman Gymnasium for some WVB is on Thursday next week, September 21st, when they welcome Rockford University for their next MAC matchup. That live stream can be found right where you're watching this one at CUC Sports on YouTube. But until then, that'll do it for this production of the Cougar Sports Network. I'm Peter Borkowski, joined all night by Troy Prattley. We're wanting to say so long to everyone watching. Cougars, they dropped this one 3-1 to the WLC Warriors. They'll be back in action on Friday. But until then, this is Peter Borkowski signing off the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Cougars.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.